When we talk about summer camp, we usually talk about the experience. We talk about what the day is like, what the week is like, what merit badges are offered, what the food is like, what time flags are, what time lights out is. We talk about schedules, we talk about activities, and we talk about program areas. But summer camp is something deeper. It's about experiencing and living the values of scouting. And sometimes, the most meaningful parts of camp aren't the structured ones at all. They're the moments, the quiet ones, the small ones, the ones that stay with you. Welcome back to Meet Me at the Grizz, a podcast about scouting, summer camp, and the community built around Rotary Scout Reservation. I'm Ken Clow, scouter, camp volunteer, and longtime member of the Rotary Scout Reservation community. Today, I want to share some of my most memorable moments at Rotary Scout Reservation. Not the challenging ones, but the ones that made me smile. The ones that reminded me why this place matters. And as I started writing them down, I realized something. Each memory is about a value. A camp I can't quite remember. Before Rotary, before my sons, before I was a leader, I went to summer camp as a scout. And for the life of me, I cannot remember the name of that camp. I remember our campsite was on a hill. I remember a lake. I remember that handicrafts was one of my favorite program areas. I remember that there were things I liked and things I didn't, but I don't remember the name. Isn't that interesting? I don't remember the schedule. I don't remember the camp director. I don't remember the layout, but I remember how it felt. I remember walking down to the waterfront. I remember working with my hands and handicrafts. I remember being a little homesick, and then not being homesick anymore. Camp imprints something deeper than logistics. It imprints growth. It imprints independence. And it imprints memory through experience. And that's the first lesson. Camp is not about information. It's about personal formation. Beaver Day, when camp becomes our camp. My memories of Rotary Scout Reservation really began when I became a leader with my sons. One of our traditions as a troop was Beaver Day. Every year, we would volunteer to help get camp ready for the summer. We would head up on Friday night and stay at our campsite, Onondaga. On the way up, I would stop and pick up a few pizzas. There is something about pizza in a campsite that tastes better than anywhere else. We'd eat together in the campsite, scouts laughing, parents talking, a fire burning in the background. That quiet anticipation of the next morning. Then Saturday would come and we'd get to work. One year, the scouts painted parts of the dining hall. Another year, we helped open and clean the dining hall after the winter. Sometimes Joel, the ranger, would have special projects lined up. Parents would weed whack campsites or cut grass. Scouts would haul debris and help clear the grounds. And here's what I noticed every time. The scouts took pride in it. They weren't just helping. They were investing. It felt like their camp. In scouting, we talk about civic duty. We talk about service. But Beaver Day made it tangible. You sweep a floor and it's cleaner. You paint a wall and it looks better. You cut the grass and the campsite is ready for another troop. That's when service stops being theoretical. It becomes ownership. It becomes stewardship. And it becomes belonging. And I think for some of those scouts, Beaver Day was the first time they truly understood what it means to serve a community that you are part of. Fireflies and Order of the Arrow. Another moment that will stay with me forever happened during an Order of the Arrow weekend. I was serving as an Alangamat for an adult candidate. This was a few weeks before summer camp opened. The camp was quiet and still. We were sleeping under the stars near the health lodge. And that night, something extraordinary happened. Fireflies. I have never seen so many fireflies in my life. They filled the air. They lit up the darkness. It felt like the entire forest was alive with light. I remember lying there, looking up, completely still. No phones, no noise, no program, just nature. It was one of those moments where you realize you're very small and very fortunate. In scouting, we talk about respect for nature. We talk about conservation. We talk about leaving no trace. But that night, none of it was spoken. It was experienced. You don't preserve something because someone tells you to. You preserve it because you've fallen in love with it. That night reminded me that scouting doesn't just teach outdoor skills. It teaches reverence. The Color Guard. Courage in Small Steps. Every summer during Camp Week, there is a color guard. Morning and evening flag ceremonies on the parade field. I can still see the scouts standing off to the side, waiting, nervous. You can see it in their faces. They're about to step in front of the entire camp. And for many of them, that's intimidating. But when their name is called and they step forward, they walk onto the field. They raise or lower the colors. They complete the ceremony. And afterward, you can see something has shifted. They did something hard. They were nervous, and they did it anyway. And by the end of the week, they realized something else. Everyone is nervous at first, but everyone grows. That's courage. Not dramatic courage, not heroic courage, but quiet courage. The kind that builds confidence brick by brick. And that parade field becomes something more than grass. It becomes a proving ground for personal growth. Watching scouts grow year after year. One of the greatest privileges of being an adult leader at Rotary Scout Reservation was watching the same scouts return year after year. In year one, they are unsure. They don't know where to go, and they don't quite understand how the week works. By year 3 or 4, they know the layout. They know the schedule. They guide the new scouts. They mentor them. They help them find merit badge areas. They remind them where flags are, and they model good behavior. You can actually see the leadership forming. Camp becomes an outdoor classroom. But more than that, it becomes a doing classroom. A place where scouts try, fail, try again, succeed, and lead. And all of it happens in an environment where adults guide but don't control. That growth is not accidental. It's developmental. It's intentional. And it's one of the most powerful aspects of scouting. As an adult leader, witnessing that growth is a privilege. You don't cause it. You create space for it, and then you get to watch it unfold. What these moments have in common. When I first started thinking about this episode, I thought it would be just a collection of pleasant memories. Pizza in the campsite, painting the dining hall, fireflies in the night sky, scouts stepping onto the parade field, older scouts mentoring younger ones. But when I look at them together, I see something deeper. Each moment reflects a scouting value. Service, stewardship, reverence, courage, leadership. And that's what summer camp really is. We talk about the experience. We talk about the schedule. We talk about the merit badges. But summer camp is where values become real. It is where they are learned and practiced. It is where they are lived. It is where young people experience them, not as words, but as actions. And years later, they may not remember the name of the camp. They may not remember the exact schedule, but they will remember how it felt. They will remember who they became. And that is why Rotary Scout Reservation matters. Not as a place, but as a proving ground for values. If you've had moments at Rotary Scout Reservation that have stayed with you, moments that made you smile, I'd love to hear about them. Because those stories remind us what this place really is about. I'm Ken Clow. Thank you for listening to Meet Me at the Grizz, and I'll see you next time at summer camp.